Good evening and welcome to the City of Battle Creek, Michigan, and the Battle Creek City Commission meeting for May 21st, 2024. Don't get him. All right, we'll get it going there. We're going to start our meeting with a moment of silence for our invocation, and I'll call upon Commissioner Morris to lead us in a moment of or our Pledge of Allegiance. So lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you're able to stand, please stand for a moment of silence. Commissioner Morris.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to thank everyone for being here this evening. We have a very large crowd, so we'll try to run the meeting just as quickly as possible so that you're able to get out of here. So, first thing on our agenda is the roll call. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
Commissioner Ballard.
Present.
Commissioner Lance.
Here.
Commissioner Morris.
Here.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
Here.
Mayor Banky.
Here.
Commissioner Reynolds.
Present.
Commissioner Simmons.
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Present.
And Vice Mayor Sophia.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk, and thank you for all 9 commissioners for being here. First item on our agenda is our proclamations and awards. We have beautiful Battle Creek Awards. Is anyone here to accept a beautiful Battle Creek Award? I did receive a note that the people cannot make it. We had 2 of them. Ronald Edward Alberty Trust and Lorraine Eileen Alberty Trust. And they live out in Urbandale, and I want to thank them and congratulate them. And then Jennifer Gibson from Ward 1. I want to thank both of those individuals for doing a good job at maintaining their property and encouraging other people to compete with them. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is 2 proclamations for Public Service Recognition Week, and the second one is for National Public Works Week. And if we could have all those Public Works employees that are here, please come forward. And if Ted could take a picture of us, we'd appreciate it. And since Ted is here, I'm going to ask Ted to do the explanation of this.
Thank you, Mayor. No, I don't need to say much. I think, Mayor, you can speak for this group here when I say we're very proud to have the opportunity to serve the city of Battle Creek and the residents of Battle Creek as public servants. We appreciate the Recognition Week. We certainly appreciate all the work of those that are not with us here today who serve the city of Battle Creek, and we're just thrilled to have the opportunity to receive this proclamation this evening. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ted. And we just want to say thank you very much for going above and beyond and doing certain things like setting up our computers so that it works right. Those are the type of things that, we've got to be prepared to do. So on behalf of the citizens of Battle Creek, congratulations. We'll next do the National Public Works Week with the rest of the staff. Perry, can you give us an idea of what goes on here?
The American Public Works Association annually represents all of the services provided by Department of Public Works throughout the nation. And we'd like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to serve everybody in the city of Battle Creek. We're here because you're here. You're not here because we're here.
Very nicely done. And I know that last week you had your open house, and I heard through the grapevine that record crowds showed up, and so I really appreciate the work, because it does take a lot of time and effort to put something like that together. And you always are concerned that no one will show up, but you did have a good crowd. So once again, congratulations on behalf of the citizens of the city of Battle Creek for Public Service Recognition Week, or National Public Works Week. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is a presentation concerning the Beckley Road Study presentation. I'm going to turn it over to Ted at this time. Ted, when you get ready.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. As the commission is aware, we have been working with a consultant on a redevelopment plan for the Beckley Road corridor and the larger Lakeview Downtown Development Authority. That process has been going very well, and our consultant, Eric Kehoe, is here from Progressive AE to give us an update on how everything is going.
All right. Good evening, City Commission and Mayor. Thank you very much for having me here. Last time I was here, we had sirens going off and a tornado warning, so I got to see the basement of City Hall, which was great. But it's good to be here on a beautiful day, so I'm going to see if I can advance the slide myself. There we go. Yeah, I do want to say just, it's been a privilege, and it's been a really enjoyable experience working with the city so far on this project. We work with cities across the state and across the country, and the staff and the folks that have been our points of contact, including Ted and others, have been nothing but the best. So it's been a really great experience so far. Just to give you a little overview for those that aren't familiar, the area that we're studying is bounded in red there. You could see the mall in the top right corner, and then the area kind of goes down M66 to Glen Cross, and a little bit south of that, and then along Capitol as well. So today what I'd like to do is just talk a little bit about basically what do we know about the corridor, because the first steps, really the first half of this process has been really understanding what's going on over there. And then from this point, we're going to be kind of getting into recommendation mode where we understand, okay, here's some action items the city can take on, right? So to get to this point where we're understanding where we are, we did community engagement, data collection, and historical research. So our community engagement, we put out a housing survey and retail survey gathering over 1,300 responses. We received ongoing online comments and social media comments, over 100 responses there. We've had 4 focus groups with housing leaders, mall ownership, so owners of the mall properties, folks focused on mobility, and also intergovernmental, so meeting with neighboring townships and the county. Monthly steering committee meetings. We had a walk audit, which you may have seen some social media posts about. Public open house at the mall with 40 attendees in person. Online Zoom forum, 3 pop-up tables that have kind of just helped build awareness of the project, and there's going to be more to come. Also want to give a shout out to Jessica and the communications team with Battle Creek. Not every city gets 1,300 survey responses. That's kudos to you all for getting the word out and getting those responses in, and that was really the city doing a lot of that work. Also had some great posts on social media to help spread the word. Those are pictures, the 2 pictures on the left are from our open house at the mall, and then the one on the right was actually a walk audit where folks put on the high-vis vests. A lot of city staff were there, and we walked through the corridor to understand what does it feel like to be a pedestrian in this neck of the woods, right? We also did demographic trends, land use analysis, mapping, taxable value per acre, traffic and crash data, studies of the bus network and pedestrian and bike networks, infrastructure mapping, and archival research. And there's a ton to go into, but I want to try to give you guys the most important, the most salient to you all tonight. So what we found, let's talk about the market demand. Let's talk about retail specifically. So currently in the DDA, there are 2.3 million square feet of non-residential space. based on our projections and the survey that we received input on, as well as demographic data, you're pretty much adequately retailed in that area. So you have 2.3 million. There isn't a demand to add a bunch of new retail in that area, right? It's gonna, over the next decade, it's gonna remain flat or slightly increase in terms of demand. So I think that 2.3 million is about where things should stay. The mall vacancy is very high, as many of you know. They do have a couple of solid anchor tenants, but internally, the mall is approximately 70% vacant. Conversely, the vacancy along Beckley Road, so that the retail along Beckley is pretty low, and there is a demand for auto-oriented businesses that still want to potentially move to Beckley. So those kind of drive-through car wash type businesses, right? There's a thing called reciprocal easement agreements. So there's a bunch of owners, a bunch of retail owners on the mall site and also along Beckley, and they have agreements sometimes to restrict uses between them or restrict sight lines, and that makes development hard along the corridor. What about mall redevelopment specifically? For some reason, this picture isn't popping up, so I'll go to the next one. I pulled some, well, I guess we all pulled some data from kind of looking at some of the malls that have been announced as redevelopment projects across the state. A big thing that we've seen compared to the mall site in Beckley is just a faster growth in terms of population and just a higher income, a higher population density around these malls. So when we're talking about Briarwood in Ann Arbor and Lakeside in Sterling Heights, those have been announced for big redevelopment projects. I mean, there's just a lot more people around those malls and some growth that's happening in those areas compared to what we're seeing along Calhoun County and along the mall kind of market area. So the site has, I mean, I don't know if everybody knows this, but on that Beckley Lakeview Mall site, there's 5 or 6 owners. So there's, Sears, the self-storage, Horrocks, the interior mall, then the outlot building. And that can make redevelopment difficult, right? It's hard to coordinate. Some of the owners are happy with the way things are going. Some of them want to sell. So that can make things challenging. The 3 paths typically that we see for suburban, what we would call retrofitting, so like taking this auto-oriented place and making it something new. Redevelopment, regreening, or reinhabitation. And I think overall, regreening and reinhabitation are things that we've been kind of hearing more and more about. Housing demand. So overall, we think, based on some of the studies that have been coming out, our own survey research and demographic data, between 75 to 225 new housing units can land right in the LDDA over the next decade. The Blue Oval plant obviously would, it would grow the county's total jobs by about 3% countywide. So that could have some spillover, and we would be able to potentially capture those new job employees in the LDDA area. On the right there, it's just that shows how the population in Calhoun County has changed over the last decade. Obviously, it's getting older. There are a slight increase in kind of the 25 to 34 group, but overall, the county's just getting older as a population. And just one interesting note about the LDDA, that area, the median age of folks who live in that DDA are 30.5 compared to Battle Creek at 38 and Michigan at 41. So it's a significantly younger area compared to the city as a whole. So just to touch base on these 3 themes, these are really the other 3 key findings that are coming out of what we're noticing about this area. So with green infrastructure, limited public park space, but the existing green space, so the linear trail is really an asset. It's a beautiful part of the DDA and something that we should continue to leverage and try to use more. There's flooding, stormwater management, and then the retention ponds. There's about 11 retention ponds out there, and there's all various levels of maintenance on those and some concerns about maintenance agreements, or who should be maintaining those, who should be owning those. And the DDA has an oversupply of surface parking. So just a couple of the quotes that we had heard from folks just about this area. So it'd be nice to see some of the unused concrete balanced out with some natural landscaping, more trees, flowers, etc. Mall does not have a lot of outdoor space. So often there is a park or playground nearby, but in Beckley it doesn't feel that way. Just to kind of provide some context too, when the shopping mall was initially built in the late 70s, early 80s, there was significant opposition from the state as well as community groups about the mall being built on that site. The creek actually should be running where Sears is, but it was rerouted around the mall site in the late 70s. So obviously at the time it was a concern, and as things continue and with the increase in rain events and that sort of thing, it's gonna continue to be a concern. So based on the current parking requirements that the city has, there's about 3 times as much surface parking as needed in the DDA based on zoning requirements currently. And the county overall is, I mean, these are countywide numbers, but it's getting hotter and rainier, so we're getting over the next decade or 15 years a 26% increase in historical rainfall events, basically the downpours. So those days that are flash flood warnings and just downpour events, those are trending up. Over the last couple decades, they're going to continue to trend upwards. So that's just some kind of context for the countywide to keep in mind as we're thinking about infrastructure improvements and that sort of thing. The other theme here, placemaking. So there's existing space for some infill. There are limited kid-friendly options or public gatherings or community event space. There's not a ton of publicly owned space that's very accessible. But the one, like I said, the trail and the library are 2 of the really big assets in that area. And there's just opportunities to develop some kind of vibrancy and really make it a neighborhood feel in that area south of Beckley. Some of the comments from folks, I love Horrocks, which we've heard a lot. It's great that it's there. Just some more activities for kids. I think that's something that we hadn't expected, but we're hearing more of that. This is kind of a little land use analysis that we did to show the difference between places in the mall, in the DDA, and non-places. So green are, either stores or green space, and the kind of reddish brown is unused space that's kind of just in between buildings that doesn't really have a use to it, or some of the roads that have some very wide areas. So there's an opportunity for new placemaking and some infill in these areas. And the big third theme is car dependent. So we've heard a lot about the signals not being well timed along Beckley. Many of the roads are actually overbuilt, so that they just are bigger than what's required for the amount of cars that are going down them. And then there's a lot of people that live in that area south of Beckley, but there really isn't much of a connected route for them to get around if they're not in a car. So again, just kind of supporting that, a lot of the comments have borne that out. Just an example here, Glen Cross Road. So Beckley Road gets 16,000 cars a day on average. This road gets about 3,500, but it has almost the same amount of lanes, right? So if I lived in this area, like in Redwood and in the apartments or townhomes, there's really no way for me to walk to Target, right? It's just, I gotta get in my car and drive 2 minutes to Target. And because there's so many people that live down there, there actually is a pretty good opportunity to kind of like push that neighborhood into something that's a little more vibrant, but we just need to do a little bit of work to get there, right? It was, when it was being designed in the 70s and 80s, it was kind of very scatterbrained and just kind of haphazard. And I've shown the Goodwill Hunting meme, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. So it's not our fault. We're here where it is now, and we're gonna do what we can to improve it. So again, just another example here. This is a perfect spot for some potential development. So this, to the right of the picture, is ABC Warehouse. you notice on the aerial view on ABC Warehouse, they have so much parking, they only stripe the first like quarter of their parking lot because like, we don't need all this space, so we're just gonna stripe a little bit of it. But you know, like if I lived just south of this picture and I wanted to walk up to Target or to, you know, walk along the trail, it's kind of difficult for me to get there, just because it really wasn't it wasn't built for people to walk, roll, bike. It was built for driving. So this is kind of, we have a good understanding of the current existing conditions in the corridor, and now the next steps over the rest of the year are to develop policy and redevelopment scenarios. So the questions that we're kind of asking throughout this process: how should the city and stakeholders respond to these challenges? What would the LDDA and the corridor look like if it was successful? Who should the corridor serve? And then this idea of, should we redevelop? Should we re-inhabit? Should we re-green? A lot of really good opportunities. And I think, you know, the last note that I just want to re-emphasize here, like the trail, the amount of folks that live in that area. I think initially when we were brought on, it was a corridor study, and we were looking specifically on the Beckley Road corridor. But what we're finding is that whole area south of Beckley, with the residential and the trail, there's really potential to have a beautiful neighborhood and a beautiful connection, like from Capitol Avenue. You just take the bus from the neighborhood to downtown Battle Creek. There's just a lot of opportunities there. So excited for the next chapter here, and yeah, welcome any questions or comments y'all may have.
We'll take a couple questions from the commission. Are there any questions or comments you want to make? I guess you answered all their questions, so
All right.
appreciate your presentation. It was very
Yep,
nice, and I'm
absolutely.
sure the commission will follow up with you.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Once again, thank you, Eric. Next item on our agenda is chair noting any added or deleted resolutions.
There were none.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item on our agenda is petitions, communications, and reports.
There were none.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is a public hearing. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
This is a public hearing to receive public comment on the City of Battle Creek's proposed fiscal year 2024-2025 budget.
I declare the public hearing open. If you'd like to make public comment on the subject of the public hearing, and please raise your hand and we will call upon you or acknowledge you to come forward to the podium where you will have 3 minutes to make your comment. Are there any public comments at this time? Are there any public comments on our public hearing? Yes, sir? In the back row.
Never give up an opportunity for public comment. Barry Wayne Adams. I live over in Marshall on 622 West Green Street.
All right, sir, are you speaking to our budget or are you speaking about another subject?
You'll find out.
No.
Well, I'm going to rule you out of order right now if you can't tell me.
I am going to talk about the budget.
All
But
right.
actually, you have no authority to restrict or abridge my freedom of speech. Article 1,
All right,
Section
what was
5
your
of the
name
Michigan-
again for the record?
Barry Wayne Adams, 622 West Green Street.
And what is your subject that you're going to speak on?
Your budget.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. A budget is based on expectation of what's going to be happening in the next year. However, there are things that are going on which have been, for the most part, going on behind the scenes, sub rosa, in the implementation of the megasite and all the activities that are going to be done by the surrounding municipalities to try to bring utility service to that megasite. And it seems that Battle Creek has been delegated the charge of having to bring water to the megasite. Now, we're talking about a very substantial project which will end up diverting 750,000 gallons a day, which will end up becoming lithium tainted and will despoil the watershed. But there are things that are going to be happening very quickly, and there's somebody here who could speak better to it than I can, but on June 6th, there is going to be hearing up in the Court of Appeals dealing with what will end up being the determined destiny of the megasite project. And one of the potential outcomes is that the whole project could end up getting scuttled and overturned because the rezoning ordinance could be found to be invalid because of impermissible construction. So you're making these plans, but there could be some real upheavals coming here in the next few weeks. Again, the best advice is never count your chickens before they're hatched. And there may be some real turbulence coming up in the next few months, and especially coming up into the November election about how all these plans that were made behind the scenes for decades, unbeknownst by the locals, and after it became known with very much antagonism toward the idea.
You're done, thank you. Are there any other public comments for our public hearing? Seeing none, we'll declare the public hearing closed. Next item on our agenda is the introduction of ordinance 08-2024. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
Chapter 294, General Personnel Regulations, was enacted in November of 1978, with Section 185 having been added in 1981, Section 075 having been added in January of 1987, Section 19 having been added in March of 1994, and Section 21 having been added in June of 96, and Section 20 having been added in 2015. Of the 23 sections in Chapter 294, 14 chapters have never been amended in the more than 45 years since they were enacted, even though they don't reflect current practice. In February of this year, pursuant to Ordinance 01-2024, Sections 4, Vacation Leave, and Section 5, Sick Leave and Accident, were amended, and Section 75, Performance Evaluation Program, was repealed. This proposed ordinance 08-2024, if introduced, will amend Section 06 of Chapter 294, General Personnel Regulations, by making changes to other leaves of absence, consistency with city policies, and to align the bereavement leave with represented employee agreements.
I move for the introduction of ordinance 08-2024.
Support.
Been moved and supported to introduce 08-2024. Are there any comments by the public? Yes, sir.
Potential omission in an amendment. Would
Okay.
that be acceptable?
Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Kenneth Kilpatrick. I would like to bring to your attention the codified ordinance of the City of Battle Creek, Michigan, Chapter 618, Section 30, hindering or opposing a police officer, and specifically to its limitations in subsection B2, which provides in relevant part, the length of a person's detention must be reasonably necessary to affect the purposes of subsection A3 hereof, but in any case, no longer than 60 minutes. The first sentence in subsection B2 was unconstitutional under the Fourth Amendment and the Constitution of the State of Michigan Bill of Rights, Article 1, Section 11, both of which provide that the people are protected from unreasonable search and seizure. The limitations set forth in subsection B2 also provide an open opportunity for abuse of authority by police officers. We've all seen the news over the years and have seen what happens to some people when a police officer abuses his authority. The combination of the people being potentially subjected to an unlawful detention or false arrest or other possible constitutional violations by a police officer who may be having a bad day and chooses to abuse of an authority, leaves us with the decision that is of the utmost importance to immediately omit the first part of that sentence in B2 pursuant to Chapter 6, Section 4.3
D, that is unconstitutional and does not materially change the entire ordinance. We have a moral obligation as Americans to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, and that our ordinance, statutes, and laws are in line with the democracy our forefathers dreamed of and built for this great country, as well as for the men and the women of the United States military who have fought and died to uphold it. Chapter 4 of the City of the Ordinance in Section 4.3C, Emergency Ordinance, provides that ordinance immediately necessary for the preservation of public peace, health, morals, safety, or welfare may be enacted on the date of their introduction and given immediate effect, or earlier than 10 days after their enactment, after receiving 5 affirmative votes of the City Commission, which gives us an opportunity to make that necessary omission today. I ask at this time to vote on the proposed omission of the phrase, but in any case, no longer than 60 minutes in the City Ordinance 618.30B2.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. If you want to submit your comments, there's a card in the back of the room, and then we'll have someone respond to you, all right? Thank you. Are there any other public comments at this time? Yes, the gentleman in the back row.
Again, Barry Wayne Adams, 622 West Green Street, Marshall. Continuing with the thought train of the previous speaker, these little incremental modifications in capacities of police officers to encroach upon the rights of personal integrity and privacy, and to be brought charges against them on the most spurious of circumstances, and then given legitimacy, are part of a long-term pattern and practice of usurpation and encroachment that little by little by little are converting the constitutional republic into a de facto corporate fascist police state administered under martial rule. And consistent with that, we're seeing your display of the flag, which shows that you're actually operating under military authority, the authority of the governor acting as commander-in-chief of the armed forces pursuant to Article 5, Section 12 of the Michigan Constitution. Now, Article 11, Section 1 of the Michigan Constitution and MCL 15.151.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you. Either you speak to the introduction of the ordinance, or I'm going to have to ask you to sit down.
Well, you're encroaching on my constitutional right to freely express myself, as said in Article 1, Section 5.
This is a business meeting.
This is germane to your operation. You must know the constraints on your ability to impose ordinances against the rights of the people. This is what I'm trying to explain. If this is too deep, I can try and double it down a little bit more for your benefit. But
I ask you to do that then.
I'll do that.
Mayor, if I may, this is an ordinance about bereavement leave. And so public comment should be directed strictly to the bereavement leave and leaves of absence.
Well, these kind of policy changes, when you're operating in policy, you're operating in the corporate form. You're not operating in the body politic. So just by the very use of policy, we are seeing evidence that Article 7, Section 17 of the Michigan Constitution, in which every city has been turned into a body corporate. When the organs of government have been changed into corporations, merely operating as commercial entities, that is in fact the core definition of fascism. It's too bad you guys don't know this stuff. I'm trying to dumb it down. I mean,
thank you very much for your comments.
You're supposed to be educated on it.
Are there any other public comments on the introduction of Ordinance 08-2024? I see none. We're going to proceed then. Any questions by the commission?
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did have one question regarding the maternity leave section that was struck here. With respect to FMLA, please forgive me. I'm not an authority on the source, but the language we struck included the maintenance of seniority for the individual leaving for maternity leave. This might be a good question for Jill or Human Resources folks, but I want to make sure that's maintained through FMLA. Is that correct? The seniority in the absence on account of maternity leave.
Yes, so we're referencing FMLA, which
Yeah.
controls that, and so that provides those protections.
Wonderful, thank you.
Any other commission comments?
Nailed it.
Seeing none, would you please vote in the introduction of ordinance 08-2024? The introduction of ordinance 08-2024 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is public comments regarding consent agenda and resolutions not on the consent agenda. If you'd like to make public comments regarding the consent agenda and resolutions not on the consent agenda, please raise your hand, and we will acknowledge you to come forward to the podium. You'll have 3 minutes to make your comments. Please state your name and address before beginning your comments and indicate which resolution you are speaking to. Are there any public comments at this time? Yes, sir.
I'm Glenn Kowalski, and I'll be speaking to hopefully convince you to vote yes on Resolution 449. This is my third appeal on the topic. Each time I've tried to narrow the scope that would allow you to give me the information and give the public this information. So a bit of background. In early April of 2023, the farmers along Verona Road saw several surveyors working in the area. They were told planning for the Battle Creek water supply to the mega site is what they were surveying. With this information, I called Perry Hart at the Battle Creek Public Works, and he confirmed that they were surveying for a loop, water supply loop, coming down Verona to 15 Mile, back to Michigan Avenue, and then back towards the casino. So on April 25th, 2023, I formally requested through a FOIA the City of Battle Creek for their water supply plans for the Marshall mega site. I was given a response to that FOIA request on May 2nd that no such records existed. I appealed that denial on May 3rd, 2023. On May 10th, 2023, Alicia Green said, quote, "It has been discovered that some responsive documents may exist." So obviously you do have the documents, so the original denial was incorrect. On May 19th, I received a revised denial letter. And in that revised denial, MCL 15.243, Section 1 was referenced. And I won't read the whole thing, but basically two elements stand out: that there are trade secrets with the water system, apparently. And there are communications and notes within the City of Battle Creek staff members and or between the city and another public body that are advisory in nature, which are not purely factual material. It's an odd response because this is City of Battle Creek's water system to supply to the mega site. On June 6, 2023, I received actual resolution copies
I'm going to allow you to continue as long as you stay on the topic.
Mayor, if I may offer, it sounds like Mr. Kowalski's talking about a 2023 appeal, and so that's not what's being appealed, that's not what's on the resolution now, that's long past, so we're talking about 2024, and so he should direct his comments to the specific denial that is on the resolution that's from recently.
I think the background is germane to the topic today because it kind of gives context to how difficult this process has been, specifically to tonight's appeal, so I disagree.
If you could talk about the 2024.
Specifically to this specific appeal?
Correct.
So not the last two?
Yeah.
So you don't want to know about the last two?
Well, I think you provided some information, but still, if we could,
Well, I would like to speak to the partial denial where I was given a partial approval, which was a single drawing of a pipe for $11.21. The point is this has gotten completely ridiculous. So speaking to the current, it started on April 18th of 2024. I made a FOIA request narrowing the scope. Again, I'm trying to narrow the scope so that you can give this information to the public. Basically, I narrowed the scope to exactly what the City of Marshall provided to me, which is a map of the water system and the maximum flow rate of the system. On April 24th, I got a 10-day extension. This is on a topic that you've already had two previous appeals on, so you know the content very well. On May 1st, I got a full denial this time. And the description was basically that there's no wastewater system, which is fine, and go use the Choose Marshall map. Well, that's not a response, right? That's telling me to go to it's actually a cartoon on the Choose Marshall map. And then there was no information about flows, no denial or no approval. So on May 2nd of 2024, I appealed the denial. On May 6th, I sent examples of the City of Marshall documents that I'm looking for. So you have those examples. So today I'm appealing, I'm here to appeal in person to the City Council. I'm asking you to provide a simple map document showing the City of Battle Creek water supply to the Marshall and Sackrider megasite, right? So we now know that this is 3,000 acres of industrial development along Kalamazoo River and the capacity flow of the system. This megasite will extend from 15 mile to 9.5 mile and be approximately 3,000 acres. So the question becomes, why not give me the information that I've asked for over a year now? We know the records are there, right? Even though initially there was a denial that you had any records. You're building the system for the City of Battle Creek. There's no public safety concern as the information in different levels of detail has been given to many entities that have no NDA restrictions. There are no trade secrets. These are not advisory in nature, but are real buildable routes because they're being built as we speak. And so I'd ask you to supply this information to put at least some glimmer of hope that the City of Battle Creek Council has some integrity left and will allow the public a clear picture of the water supply routing, which is now a year overdue. In closing, I hope that the City of Battle Creek is not being threatened by the state of Michigan or any of its member departments or private corporations it funds. Please do the right thing this evening and grant this simple request. Thank you.
are you done?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other public comments at this time? Yes. Autumn Smith.
Good evening. I find it mildly ironic if what Mr. Kowalski said is true, that our public water supply would be hidden behind trade secrets. Also, I was on the Emmett Township Zoning Board of Appeal back in the day, and there are site plans when you make stuff like this. They had to do the loop for the casino. There were many public conversations about that, discussions, open, transparent. We knew what was going on, and nothing was hidden under the things that you guys are hiding for. So my suggestion to Mr. Kowalski would be, it may be time, if they deny this, whoever denies this, you may need to file criminal charges under MCL 75505, misconduct in office, and fraud, because if they denied saying that they didn't have it and then said they did, that's fraud, and there is no statute of limitations on fraud. This is misconduct in office, malfeasant, nonfeasant, and misfeasance. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments at this time? Yes, Steve?
Steve Koch, Washington Avenue. I have no skin in the game. All I'm going to say is when it comes to FOIAs, I don't understand what the problem is. Maybe I'm failing to understand what the problem is. Freedom of Information Act. That means somebody in this audience wants to know something, they go down, they fill out the form, and you provide that information. You are a public official. You work for the public doesn't work for you, okay? Any document that you have here in Battle Creek belongs to the people. It doesn't belong to you. You have no right to be hiding that information. If it's transparent, then we don't have a problem. If you're not allowing people to have that information, then there's a problem. We're not federal. You don't have a top secret NORAD SINCPAC clearance, okay? So there's no reason not to give the information to the people that want it. That's all I'm going to say about that condition.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any other public comments at this time? Yes.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, fellow residents, and friends and guests. I'd like to speak in support of 445. I believe that the addition of the rainbow flag to celebrate the Pride Month for LGBT history is a very important symbol for recognizing the community's support for diversity and our tolerance for the differences that we have as residents of this community. I've been in, by the way, my name is Ken Warnock. I'm at 100 Mingy's Creek Place. I've been a member of the community for 6.5 years, moving from the east side of the state where we have a multitude of Pride festivities. I've been involved with those festivals, including Motor City Pride, Ferndale Pride, and the original Pride Fest. So I think coming into a town like Battle Creek and being able to see a symbol that affirms my worth and my value is very important. As Battle Creek Pride will be preparing their Pride Festival in July, it will be a great symbol for visitors to our city of the support that this community shows for them. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other public comments at this time? The gentleman next to the gentleman from Marshall. Russ.
Thank you for referring to me as a gentleman. I appreciate that.
I didn't recognize you. I'm sorry.
Right. My name is Russ Claggett. I live at 162 Orchard Avenue in Battle Creek. I'm here to speak in support of Resolution 445. I'm here because I stand in solidarity with members of the LGBTQ community in Battle Creek. I'm here because for too long, communities like Battle Creek have told people who didn't look a certain way or act a certain way or love a certain way that they weren't welcome or accepted in a community. I'm here because I've lived in Battle Creek for over 40 years, and I've seen progress in this community. I've seen that pride flag fly over City Hall, and I know what it has meant to members of the LGBT community to see that flag, to know that the message was that they were accepted. It was also a message to people like me, to know that our community is willing to go out there and say, yes, we are welcoming to everyone. So I urge you to support Resolution 445 and allow the flag to fly. Thank you.
Thank you, Russ. I'm going to have to ask you guys not to clap as much as you want to. We understand your exuberance, but please. All right, we're going to go to the lady right here with the hand up. Thank you.
I'm Adele Dennison, 1622 Territorial Road West. Really quickly, it's good to be inviting. It's good to welcome young people. I think flying the pride flag shows acceptance, and acceptance is huge. Like it's kindness. I'm looking for the words. My son will appreciate it, and his husband, they'll appreciate it. So, yeah. Okay, that's it.
Thank you for coming down, ma'am. All right, we're going to go to the back row. If the gentleman from Marshall would like to speak again.
Barry Wayne Adams, 622 West Green Street. This is to dovetail on what Glenn was talking about. Yeah, the construction of the Freedom of Information Act statute actually is very cleverly constructed because they, with great ingenuity, created specific exemptions that actually prevent an individual from being able to find information that is crucial to sussing out corruption in government. And, you know, as we're seeing with Glenn and his getting his, you know, half-baked rationales why he can't get the information when it should be, you know, it's very simple information, should be transparent to the people. But the amount of energy that is employed in trying to deceive an honest request for information, quoting American Communication Association versus Dowd, it's not the function of the government to keep the citizen from falling into error, but it is the function of the citizen to keep the government from falling into error. So this is what we're doing. And if, as Autumn spoke of, if there is a considered effort to try to withhold this pertinent information from being obtained, then that is essentially misconduct in office. And that is a crime at the common law, which is punishable by the pains and penalties found in MCL 750.505. And we're beginning over in Marshall to stop accepting the half-baked excuses for not providing information that was requested in good faith, and we go to the Michigan State Police and ask them to review the denial and act accordingly. So things have to change. I mean, if you guys don't want to be honest and upfront, I mean, Glenn, you know, he's been doing a heck of a job trying to suss out all this pertinent information, and again, as he was trying to convey through pointing out the historicity of the continuation of deceptions that prevent him from getting the information that he wanted to get, we are seeing a pattern and practice of violation of constitutional rights. So those kind of claims can be brought over into the federal court, and I guess we'll be obligated to go ahead and do that. But the better path is to just be honest, give up the information that we're asking for.
Thank you for your comments.
You're welcome.
Yes, ma'am, right here in front, third row.
Crystal Martinez, 21473 Clear Lake Avenue. I apologize, I didn't grab an agenda. I believe it's Resolution 445 based on previous speakers. I also apologize as I'll try to get through this as hormones and emotions, you can tell, kind of dictate me these days. I'm a mother of two, about to be three, and I wish to live in a city safe for my kids to be themselves. My oldest had been bullied for liking things not deemed for his gender, and it's ridiculous. Kindergarten, preschool. I, myself, and a nonprofit I had started here right in Battle Creek had been denied facility uses because I chose to walk in the Pride Parade. Battle Creek Pride opened their arms to us, no questions asked. They just, you can use our facility, you can come in and be part of our family. It has been a safe place for me and my children. The fact that they have to fight each year for a simple gesture of acceptance and safety is ridiculous. Raising the pride flag for 1 month of the year is a small yet impactful gesture. Allowing any hate to dictate if it flies is unacceptable. Please do better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
I'm Phoenix Adams, 1278 West Michigan, apartment 2, 49037. I am not only one of the founding parents of Battle Creek Pride, I'm also a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. As a Christian, the rainbow represents God's promise to humanity, that the path of salvation, the way to heaven, is open to all, regardless of race, color, creed, etc., or sexual orientation. And I request that the rainbow flag be flown during the month in order to remind members of the LGBT community that our Heavenly Father loves us and we are all one human family, regardless of any perceived differences. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other public comments? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Commissioners. Good evening, staff. I'm Reverend Julie Elmore, and I am the pastor of Chapel Hill United Methodist Church. I'm also a resident of Battle Creek at 192 Brentwood Drive. And I speak in favor of Resolution 445, the flying of the LGBTQ plus flag during the month of July, and thank you for voting in favor of a similar resolution last year. So I speak in favor as a pastor and as a mother. The church I serve, Chapel Hill United Methodist Church, is a church that advocates for inclusion of all. Our mission statement is inviting all to grow in God's love, and so we are advocating for inclusion of all. As a mom, I speak for myself as well as my spouse as we seek to continue to raise our child in a community that promotes inclusion. Our 10-year-old son, as Jim likes to say, is like a little Sheldon. So if you can picture young Sheldon saying this, our 10-year-old son is so committed to inclusion that he says when he's president of the United States someday, he is going to outlaw girls on the run and make it kids on the run so that every gender can be included in this program. Thank you for helping us to raise our child in Battle Creek, in a community that I feel strives for inclusion and should act upon that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Yes, sir.
Hello, I'm John R. Brandymore II. I live on 4174 Watkins Road, and I'm here to speak on Resolution 445. I'd like to say that my motivation is purely as an ally, but as a former conservative and libertarian, my reasons are very selfish. I've just been recently diagnosed with autism. Obviously, I didn't just get autism last month. I've had it all my life. And some of the gestures that I make as an autistic child got me bullied. And the names that they used are slurs that I won't repeat here today, but are slurs used towards the LGBTQ community. Now, no child, no person should be bullied for any reason. Period. Nothing, what more can I say? Putting the flag up there says Battle Creek is a place that doesn't stand for that kind of thing. It says, here, yeah, it's happened, and it's probably going to happen again, but we're going to work towards making it not happen. I guess that's all I have to say. Have a good day.
Thank you for your comments. In an effort to better understand how much support there is for our resolution 445, if you'd like to just raise your hand so the commission may understand your feelings, it may save us a lot of time tonight. Thank you very much. I think the commission sees the support. Are there any other public comments at this time? Steve, have you been up here already once?
Yes.
Yeah.
Be the naysayer, okay?
Okay, Steve, you have to sit down. Steve, you have to sit down. You've already spoken during public comments.
Okay, then I won't tell you about the flag.
All right. Thank you very much. Any other public comments at this time? Yes, Dina?
Good evening, Dina Spencer at 34 Radley Street, Battle Creek. So my first comment I wanted to say first, thank you for everybody behind me that is here. Thank you to commissioners for allowing us all to speak and to be present tonight and to have this on the agenda. I'll make my comments short. Historically, and a short history, so in the last 4 years since we've had this flag resolution, we know that there's a handful of commissioners that have not been in support of this. And I will reiterate the comments made tonight by the public that representation matters. And the few of you that have been opposed to this in the past don't need to be represented because you are represented every day, all the time, in the media, in the public, in the news, at the commission meetings, at your churches, at your schools, and everywhere else that you just simply exist because you wake up and get out of bed. And that's not the case for us. And this resolution, although we have a large percentage of support, and I really appreciate that, at some point, someday, I would really like to see a unanimous support for this. And that's really all I've got to say, and I really hope that we get to that point.
Thank you for your comments.
Thanks.
I think there was another person in that row. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Kayla McCarthy. I live at 150 Waddles Road South. I am here today in support of 445. I've lived in this community my entire life, and for about, I'm 30, I'll be 34 this year, and for 20 years of my life in this community, I hid who I was because I felt unsafe. And seeing the pride flag up there makes me feel safe in my home. It allows me to raise my child in a community that also feels safe. So as Dina said, I'll keep it short and sweet, but I would like to see one day all of the commissioners voting yes on a resolution like this. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for your comments. Any other comments? Yes, ma'am. Sorry, Charlie, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Charlie Fulbright, pronouns are he, him, 312 Capitol Avenue Northeast, Battle Creek 49017. Good evening, Commissioners. Most of you know who I am, but if by chance you don't and you haven't met me, let me introduce myself. My name is Charlie Fulbright. I am the President-elect of Battle Creek Public School Board, board member of the Michigan Association of School Boards, diversity champion of the LGBTQ+ EEO Committee with the Department of Defense here in Battle Creek, former president of Battle Creek Pride, former board member of Garden of Dreams Daycare, and former council member of First Congregational Church of Battle Creek. I'm sharing all of my accolades with you because I want you to know that every committee and every board that I have sat on believes in diversity, equity, and inclusion. Every group I'm a part of or have been a part of believes in supporting our LGBTQ+ citizens. I will even go as far as saying that all of you support the LGBTQ+ residents here in Battle Creek. I know this because in 2013, you all passed the addition of sexual orientation and gender identity to the current non-discrimination ordinance. You also have, multiple times, walked in our Pride Parade. Insert plug, this year's Pride Parade is Friday, July 19th at 7 p.m., and we would love to have you walk with us again. In 2021, you all passed again, for the first time ever, having the LGBTQ+ Pride flag flown at City Hall. So I know you all believe in equality for all. I personally think it's inessential for me to be here tonight. I don't think I have to or need to prove myself every year why it's important to have this flag flown. Nothing has changed except for the commissioners. If you are married, I want you all to think about something. Except for one of you, if you are married, you have one date to remember for your anniversary, the day you got married. I have 4. June 25th, 2005, a mass commitment ceremony on the Capitol steps in Lansing. May 20th, 2006, my wedding ceremony at my parents' house. November 29th, 2011, domestic partnership ceremony in Ann Arbor to have my husband receive my benefits from work. And April 12th, 2014, legally married in Chicago and receiving full benefits of marriage. This is why I request you to approve the raising of the LGBTQ Pride flag in Battle Creek, the city I live in, I was raised in, and advocate for education and all marginalized groups. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie, for your comments. Any other comments, public comments at this time? Autumn, I believe you've already been up here. But that was during public comments. So unfortunately, I'm not going to argue with you, Autumn. You're denied another chance to come up. John, did you have your hand up? Yes, please.
Yeah, Tommy.
Tommy Morris, 18 Christie Road in Battle Creek, and a lot of y'all know me and see me around. I have my yard full of all kind of flags and everything else, and Mr. Simmons has seen them. And I have been blessed by coming and starting my transition here in Battle Creek because I'm transgender. I've got a perfect sign in there, and it's my motto. I'm a transgender veteran. I fought for your right to hate me. And that's the truth. And Battle Creek Pride, Deanna, Charlie, all them people have helped me process myself and get better. And if you don't want to fly the flag, that's outside of my thing. So thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Are there any, John, I don't believe you've been up here, have you?
Not tonight.
John, excuse me, John Kennefic, 234 South Avenue. I'm going to be speaking in regards to Resolution 445, which has to do with the gay pride thing, gay pride flag. I'm going to put a disclaimer out here like I usually do. This to me is not about the lesbian, gay, transgender thing to me. It's about a concept. I have no problems with flags being flown, except if they're being used in such a situation where somebody else can provide the opposite view, like heterosexual flag or something like that. And if they come to you and say, hey, I want this flag that has to do with straight people, you say, no, we can't do that, but we have this, then they can sue you. They have the thing called Black Lives Matter. There may be a flag in the future of that, but will you guys accept a rebel flag or a Ku Klux Klan flag in opposition of that? How about a Hamas flag or a Palestinian flag versus an Israeli flag? There's no problem. Everyone constitutionally, regardless of who you are, you have the right to seek out happiness according to the United States Constitution. This singles out something which opens the door for other things to come the other way. So I thought of thinking about this, and I thought maybe I could have my own flag. And my flag would look something like this, and perhaps to the people behind me might not like this flag. It'd be a flag that's all white, with the old seal of Battle Creek, where a frontiersman of the seal of Battle Creek is butt striking with a rifle an Indian. Now I'd alter that. I'd have 9 people on one side of the symbol, and they're all butt stroking the citizens of Battle Creek, regardless of who they are. Because that's more a reasonable application of a flag that shows pretty much many times what the city of Battle Creek is about. And around the outside it would say, this is what we do to you when you come to Battle Creek, regardless of who you are and what gender you are, or what black, color, race, whatever. I have nothing, no problems with anybody that is not of my views or maybe similar to my views. It doesn't matter to me. I just don't like having something where you're creating a problem in the future that's going to counter this. And one final comment for the people that are very fervent for this flag. Will you be just as fervent if somebody brings up a different flag and the difference, which is the opposite of your beliefs? Will you promote that as much as you promoted that flag here today? Just makes me wonder. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Sasha Banks, and I am your current reigning Miss Battle Creek Pride. It is my job to represent not only myself, but my community, and I would like to say that this 445 flying the flag shows nothing of what our other person just said. We are not a hate group. The flag means that we accept everybody. In Battle Creek, we don't want to shoot Indians or people who come in, just like he said that Battle Creek wants to do. We do not want to do that. We want to support people. So thank you all so much for your support, and hopefully we will continue to receive it.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor. Any other public comment at this time? Yes, the gentleman in the back.
Good evening. Tony Iovino, Peachtree Drive. I'll be speaking on 445, so I'll try to speak quickly. I know you've heard a lot already. My name is Tony Iovino. I'm a proud resident of Battle Creek and a candidate for the Calhoun County Commission. Tonight I'm here to strongly encourage you to adopt Resolution 445 and proudly fly the flag over City Hall this July. To begin, I'd like to address any concerns that the pride flag is a political symbol. As a heterosexual man, I needed to go learn what the pride flag actually represented. And I found it represented some universal American values like equality, love, and human dignity. I also learned that each color on the flag has a specific meaning: red for life, orange for healing, yellow for sunlight, green for nature, blue for harmony, and violet for spirit. None of that sounds very political to me. So when we fly this flag, we're celebrating those universal American values while also emphasizing that Battle Creek is a place where everyone can be welcomed and valued. The cynic in us might be thinking, there's no way some flag could make people feel like this. Isn't this just an empty gesture meant to make some people feel angry? Yet I'd offer that flying the pride flag is anything but an empty gesture. It's a powerful statement of inclusion, acceptance, and support for our LGBTQ community. Please don't take my word for it, a silly straight guy. Back in 2021, when the pride flag was flown over City Hall for the first time, reports from that day indicated attendees were crying, quote, literal tears of joy. Through those tears, BT Pride's co-president stated, quote, it's just really emotional to see the representation. It just means a lot. It means a lot. That sounds like a real and positive impact to me, not an empty gesture. Related to that impact, so I just have 2 questions for you. 1, Did you know that LGBTQ youth and adults who do not feel accepted by their communities face significantly higher rates of mental health issues, including self-harm? And two, did you know that LGBTQ youth who have just one accepting adult, just one, in their life are 40% less likely to accept self-harm? 40% for just one accepting adult. I say that to help you understand what's at stake tonight, and I hope to motivate you. Commissioners, tonight you have the chance to be that accepting adult. So I urge you from the depths of my heart, please adopt Resolution 445 and fly the pride flag over City Hall this July. Send a clear message that Battle Creek stands for inclusion and support of all its residents, regardless of who they love and how they identify. Thank you for your time and consideration. We look forward to a unanimous vote tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other comments tonight? Any other public comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to commission comment regarding meeting business.
I move for the approval of our consent agenda.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve the consent agenda. Are there any questions by the commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on the consent agenda? The consent agenda has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 445. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
On May 2nd, 2023, the City Commission approved Resolution 134, establishing a revised policy regarding flag display. This policy declares that the city's flagpoles are not intended to serve as a forum for free expression of the public, but rather for the display of federal, state, and city flags, as well as the temporary addition under the city flag of any commemorative flag as may be authorized by resolution of the City Commission as an expression of the city's official sentiments. If approved, this resolution, in accordance with the revised flag policy, seeks to authorize staff to fly the pride flag at City Hall from July 1, 2024 through July 30, 2024.
I move for the approval of Resolution 445.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 445. Are there any comments by the commission? Commissioner Patrick Goodall.
Thank you, Mayor. Just pause for a second. I thank everybody's for coming out this evening to show their support of the city of Battle Creek and our diversity here. This is, I do not like our flag policy, but this is what we have. So this is what I would like to say about, I've took notes on everybody's comments this evening. And I'll just say I am supportive of the flag, so please don't think that I'm not supportive of having the flag fly, but I just wanted to let you know that. This is a great city. I've always loved it. I've lived here, the diversity, the inclusiveness. And I think that even if we tried to get everybody to get a flag together and make one flag that would fly for Battle Creek, that just because of the diversity and everything, we wouldn't agree on it. But that's kind of great because that's what makes America what it is. We get to live the life that we want to live. Bullying, I don't stand for that at all. So again, we all need to learn to live together and enjoy one another's company. I've never met all of you, but some of you seem very interesting. Someday I would love to meet you. It's the schedules or whatever that's going on in people's lives. But I took lots of notes tonight just to listen. A gentleman up front says, I fought for the right for you to hate me. I got to tell you, that hits, because I try not to use that word hate, because to me the word hate means removal for life. And if you think about that for a moment, yeah, you know what, I hate doing homework. You say that, when you're a kid. It's like, but at the moment you're just feeling that you don't want it really removed for life, because that's knowledge that we can use for one another in the future to get to know each other. And that's what I say about this. It's not about hate. It's about trying to find a common ground between one another tonight. And so that's why I'm supporting this. It shows our inclusiveness together. I just look at this as one way of a retail of life. If anybody's familiar with the starfish story, that's how I try to live my life every day. And I'm not going to go through the whole story, but if you know what I'm talking about, just trying to make a difference at least every day when you get out of bed. So thank you, and I'm in support of the flag today.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commission comments at this time? Commissioner Simmons?
So, there's some very dear friends in the audience tonight. Tommy, I haven't seen you this whole commission term. I'm so glad to see you. You're welcome to get a ride home. I used to give Tommy a ride home after the commission meetings. Oh, Roger's got you? I'm closer. What's that? Anyway, I love your decorations at your house there on Christie. Adele, I haven't seen you in years. It was a different life. We used to be in the... Oh, we used to act in the Civic Theater plays a lifetime ago, and many others. So, typically, I've joined a commissioner or two in voting against these because, as Commissioner O'Donnell indicated a moment ago, wasn't a fan of the way the flag policy was constructed. We, about a year ago, had a committee. 3 or 4 of us sat on this committee to rework that. I was in favor of doing away with it because I prefer just to fly the American flag, the state flag, and the city flag. When we changed that, we used to take the city flag down. Now we leave the city flag up and put another flag underneath it. It has been really tough for me. We had the Blue Star Mothers in here about a month ago. I serve, I'm an active member in the Michigan Air National Guard, and I serve. My mother's a Blue Star mother, and I voted against that because I didn't care for our policy. You know, I'm going to pull a Jake Smith here, and you know, I'm going to going forward. If commissioners, it's the consistency among the commissioners, and that's our policy until the time that we do away with the policy. Which again, I would support that. You know, it flipped me, so. Oh, you know.
Thank you, Commissioner. Are there any other commission comments at this time? Commissioner Morris?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank Dina for bringing this forward to myself and a couple other commissioners so that we could get the support and use the proper channels to get this on the agenda. I just wanted to thank you for that. I myself am not a member of the community, but I do support humans in general. And so I am in support of flying this tonight.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ballard?
Thank you, Mayor. As your only openly gay commissioner for the city of Battle Creek, I want to say thank you for the turnout tonight that has lifted my heart, as well as the United Methodist Church coming to its realization that it's okay for gay people to be in their church, to serve in their church, and to be pastors in their church, and to be married in their church. Jim and I got married at the Lila Arboretum because our church did not allow that. Now, it's rather ironic that UCC Church in 1972 went forward with having clergy and members to be gay and be okay with it. That was the same year that the United Methodist Church decided that it was not okay. And so we have been fighting for this since 1972. Thank you for coming out, and thank you for supporting the flag policy.
Thank you, Commissioner Ballard. Are there any other commission comments at this time? Seeing none, let's vote on Resolution 445. Resolution 445 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 446. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
Resolution number 199, dated June 17, 2014, approved a contract to purchase an automated meter read system from Neptune Technology Group Incorporated. Subsequently, on March 19, 2019, Resolution number 91 authorized the purchase of components for the system from the same company. The department proposes a new 5-year contract to purchase automated meter read system components with Neptune Technology Group Incorporated in order to maintain product standardization. The city's administrative code provides exemptions to the sealed bid requirement when it is in the city's best interest to do so, but requires city commission approval for purchases exceeding $50,000. If approved, this resolution authorizes a contract with Neptune Technology Group Incorporated to purchase automated meter read system components for an estimated annual amount of $189,229.73 with unit prices prevailing.
I move for the approval of Resolution 446.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 446. Are there any comments by the commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 446? Resolution 446 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 447. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
The city has provided police services to Bedford Charter Township for a number of years. The most recent contract was entered into July 1, 2019, and it will expire on June 30, 2024. The Charter Township of Bedford desires to enter into another contract with the City of Battle Creek, where the city will continue to provide police services to the township to include at least one full-time officer assigned to Bedford Township around the clock for a 3-year period. If approved, this resolution authorizes the city manager to execute a 3-year contract for the Battle Creek Police Department to continue to provide Bedford Charter Township with police services.
Move for the approval of Resolution 447.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve Resolution 447. Are there any comments by the commission? Commissioner Jim Lance.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the data on our contract with Bedford. Obviously, I would hope and think that when we're negotiating these contracts, we are acting not only from a public safety standpoint, but also from a business standpoint. I do realize, looking at the history of the contract price, we are increasing our costs, and based on the data that the police chief provided, which I appreciate, it seems like it's costing it and funding itself. But I think we also have to recognize that the city of Battle Creek, first and foremost, should be taking a look at its citizens who live here, as opposed to outside municipalities. I also look at all the surrounding communities and municipalities, and I look at some of our disputes that we have, including certain ongoing disputes. And I think those things have to be considered when we are offering a service. And we shouldn't just be looking at a strict dollar sense at the end of the day. I will support this based on the figures that you gave me, but the next contract, if it does apply, I would be hesitant. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner, for your comments. Commissioner Simmons.
So along the same lines of Commissioner Lance, and I appreciate the information that he asked for today, and I was able to review some of that, that without going into too much detail, if there is ever any issue, a legal issue with behavior of officers, that falls on the city of Battle Creek. There's no language in the contract that would say, hey, the insurance of, say, the municipality, Bedford Township, would have to help with that as far as if there were a lawsuit?
I believe the language that we have in there says that we will be responsible for that. Those are the terms that have always been provided to me, that were negotiated.
Okay, and is that typical of these type of agreements? For example, the county provides service, I know, to some of the other townships. Penfield, I know, and the city of Springfield. Would they also be liable for, say, if there was any kind of dispute as far as
I haven't looked at their contracts. I would assume that that's kind of the way it works because that's who the employee is. But as I said, I'm not ever involved with any of the negotiations. So,
That's just another consideration, I think, to go along with what Commissioner Lance asked. If there's other liability, potential future liability. Of course, we hope that our officers are all trained, and we know they're trained very well, but sometimes mistakes are made, and those can be very costly to the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commission comments at this time? Commissioner Ballard.
Thank you, Mayor. I totally agree with both of my fellow commissioners here and what they have to say, but I am going to go against the tide because I don't believe that we should be providing services outside of the city of Battle Creek, mainly because of liability. So I will be voting no.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commission comments? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 447? Resolution 447 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 448.
This resolution seeks affirmation of the full denial of Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, request number 24-977 by Mr. Glenn Kowalski.
I move for the approval of Resolution 448.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve Resolution 448. Are there any comments by the commission? Commissioner Jim Lance.
I just have a couple comments. I read the documents relating to this, and it's my understanding the request asked for specific water routes and sewer routes, as well as a map, and our denial didn't actually put which denial was for which request. It kind of was just a general blanket denial, but I understand that the denial based on the statute is really based on potential anti-terrorism. I understand that. And the other two, one basically says the records do not exist, and then the third one was the web page apparently provided the record at no cost. I have no issues with that. Obviously, we provided the person making the FOIA request the appeal rights, and they can follow those. But I'll support it. But I guess maybe in the future, when I look at the denials of the FOIA, I would like to see which provision is denied for. I mean, if it again, the water routes, I assume the water routes are based on MCL 152431. I don't know for sure, but that's all.
Thank you, Commissioner. Jill, do you want to respond at all at that?
Marcel worked on this primarily, but I will say the thrust of it, of my understanding of the thrust of what was kept out was Marcel, you can come on up, was the specific information, the technical information, or what included the technical information about the routes, and specifically to prevent that. Certainly, we don't expect that Mr. Kowalski has ill intent, but to prevent it from getting out into the public, because there are people with ill intent that would look for that as a terrorist, a tool for terrorists. Marcel?
Mayor, City Commissioners, Commissioner Lance. City Attorney.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, I just realized, City Attorney Jill Steele did summarize that. Yeah, there were three bases. The largest portion was the exemption under 243(1)Y. So I think the other two components weren't, from what I could tell, weren't really being appealed. It was the denial based on 1Y that exemption somehow did not apply to the water route maps. And when you have the full text of the exemption in front of you, that it clearly specifies in the final body of that including but not limited to building, public works, and public water supply designs to the extent that those designs relate to the ongoing security measures of a public body. And then it goes on to say that it would not impair a public body's ability to protect the security or safety of persons or property, or unless the public interest in disclosure outweighs the public interest in non-disclosure in this particular instance. And that was the FOIA coordinator's determination.
Thank you,
Questions?
Marcia.
All right,
Any
thank you.
questions? Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll just say, for the record, I'm hesitant using any sort of terrorism language, threats, whatever, potential, perceived or otherwise, to withhold information from the public. I think it's a peculiar line to draw because you could easily apply the same standard to a bus, and we obviously print those. With that being said, I'll be supporting releasing the information to Mr. Kowalski, as I have the first 2 times. And that's all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commission comments? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 448? Resolution 448 has been approved. Madam Clerk, or Madam,
With that vote, Mayor, the resolution 449 becomes moot.
thank you very much. Last item on our agenda is a general public comment. If you'd like to make general public comment regarding matters over which the city has control, please raise your hand and wait for us to acknowledge you and come forward to the podium. You'll have 3 minutes to make your comment. Please state your name and address prior to making your comment. Are there any public comments tonight? Yes, sir.
Glenn Kowalski. So obviously I'm disappointed in the commission's decision. This is a pretty simple request. The city of Marshall finally complied because it's a very simple request. Choose Marshall has a cartoon on their webpage that really doesn't give the information to the property owners that are along this route. So by denying this information, you're essentially denying people pretty simple information. It's really ridiculous to talk about public safety and terrorism in this particular case. So again, I'm disappointed. I guess my only option now is circuit court. So at this point, I'll have to decide if I want to take it that next step. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other comments at this time? Yes, Autumn.
Good evening. If you guys are so worried about terrorism and public safety, you shouldn't be engaging in a mega site plan with a foreign enemy, the Communist Chinese Party. So if you're going to hide behind terrorism to deny Glenn's Freedom of Information Act, that makes you guys the domestic terrorists in a way, because you guys are engaging with an enemy. So I think it's absolutely insane. They never had a terrorism issue, like I said, when they had the loop over by the casino. How is that any different than what he's asking for? The site plans were available, conversations were had, questions were asked, discussions were had. I mean, this is absolutely insane, except one of you signed an NDA, so perhaps that's a clause that's contained in the NDA, is that you guys can't release and be transparent and open with your constituents. Remember that come November, because all of you are up for election or re-election. I want to speak about something I didn't get to comment about because I was commenting again about Mr. Kowalski's Freedom of Information Request Act. The city's flagpoles are not intended to serve as a form of free speech expression of the public. The temporary addition of any commemorative flag may be authorized by resolution of the City Commission as an expression of the city's official sentiments. The city will not display a commemorative flag based on the request of a third party nor will the city use the flagpole to sponsor the expression of a third party. No support of discrimination, prejudice, religious, political parties, or candidates appearing or intending to appear on the ballot for each election. That's close to verbatim some of the points that are in the flag ordinance. Like I said, I'm going to speak like Mr. Kennefic did. This isn't about one group over the other. This is about your policy, okay? It says no endorsement or anything. It can't be a political party. The gentleman that said he was running for commission, he ran a paid sponsored ad to fill this commission up with people speaking in support. Also, the Calhoun County Democrat Party recruited people to come here on Facebook. So I don't care if you're the Republicans wanting to support some of the Democrats, that's in violation of the flag ordinance that you guys have. It also says no third party, but you just admitted that a third party entity came to you and made the request. So
Do you have to point at her?
Yeah, because I'm not allowed to speak directly to her. Remember, I'm not allowed to say their names or whatever. I have to address you, so maybe I should point to you. So Commissioner Morris admitted that a third party came to her in direct violation. That you guys are violating your own policy. So that's why this policy, like Mr. Simmons and Ms. Sophia has said in the past, it's the policy that's the problem. It's not the organizations. Thank you.
Yes.
Phoenix Adams, 1278, et cetera, again. I just wanted to say how good it is to see all of you again. It's been 8 years since I came in here and stood at this place, and it is so good to see all of you, and thank you very much for passing the flag ordinance. I really appreciate that, and I just wanted to say something nice. So
Thank you very much. Are there any other public comments? Yes, ma'am.
My name's Nadine Bradshaw, 3600 West Michigan Avenue, and I'd like to thank you all for passing the 447 resolution. I actually live in Bedford Township. The police came to my house to arrest my ex for domestic violence. I'm just thrilled that this ordinance had passed, even though there was much heavy debate, because there has been a potentially dangerous person removed from the city, the township. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there any other public comments? Yes.
Reese Adkins, 3600 West Michigan. I just want to thank you all for passing 445, as I do definitely support it. The other thing is I want to say thank you to Commissioner O'Donnell, who about a month ago came out to the food pantry and visited the Northeast Food Pantry, had a good conversation with me and several of the workers there, and I encourage any of the other commissioners that is on this board to go out and see what your food banks do, your food pantries do. Every neighborhood has a neighborhood food pantry. There are also now, I'm going to roughly say about a half a dozen of them that are non-neighborhood food pantries that anybody can go to. With your neighborhood food pantries right now, all of them are seeing above average numbers. The Northeast one, which sees the most, right now we are serving between 56 to 80 plus people in a 3-day period of time. The need is definitely out there, so I do encourage you guys, go out and look at your neighborhood food pantry and just see what they do and how many people actually come in a average of a week, because it is enormously high. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Yes, ma'am, in the back row.
Rebecca Sebring, Fredonia Township. I want to beg to differ on this sewer thing to the battery plant. This is Capitol Report. I hope you guys realize what's going on in the world.
China is undermining our energy security, as you mentioned there. What they're doing is they're investing heavily in their renewable energy sector. And so, believe it or not, they actually control 80% of solar panels, 80% of lithium batteries, which are used for electric vehicles here in the United States. And so what they're doing is basically handcuffing the United States to them, and which is why this project is called Chinese handcuffs, because the further that the Biden administration pushes this radical climate agenda, the more trapped we are with China, because they are the, basically controlling a monopoly of these inputs going into these renewable technologies.
And this is truth, and at least your town's not going to have lithium water in it. Do you think I'm going to eat or drink anything from either one of your towns, Marshall or Battle Creek, after you trickle lithium into it and accommodate the Chinese Communist Party? For real, Ford, the abbreviation cattle is meaning the Chinese Communist Party now owns them, just like they do my favorite car company, GM, in 2016. So, and in the footage in Epic Times, they show the other battery plant in Michigan actually has military brought in from China, and they go on their summer vacation with their bosses and put on uniforms and vow to communism. They come right back and they're right in your backyard. You guys got a military base. Aren't you a little worried about that? Because I sure am, and I'm in Marshall, and I'm not digging what's going on. The worldwide takeover is orchestrated by the World Economic Forum, the Chinese Communist Party, parts of the UN, and all the citizens in all the countries that have sold their fellow man, plant, and animals out. This is not good. You need to always think of your grandchildren and your children and your karmic debt. Remember, your soul's eternal. You want to give everybody rights. That's what the Bible says. Treat everybody the same because we are all precious. But you're going to sell out your people and give us away, and when the communism comes, it doesn't matter who you were or what you did for them, we're all at risk. You lose everything. You will own nothing, you will have nothing, you will be happy. That's what Stalin said. This is what we're up against, along with many other countries in the world. Wake up and start enabling these people, and serve the people that pay your taxes. They pay taxes so they can help. You're supposed to help them, and I don't understand. You guys don't have a conscience? Please turn it around. Fix your karmic debt now while you're alive, please.
Are there any other public comments tonight? See none? Oh, we got one hand.
I don't know if I can get ahead of that one. Mine is really minor. Sorry. My name is John Kennefick, 234 South Avenue. I'm going to be talking about the potential $20+ million bond issue that the City Commission may be considering in the near future for the fire department. I've spoken with many different firemen from different stations throughout the Battle Creek area, and they have the presentations, and I've seen two of them, are very informative. I don't like any of it because of the engineered situation where the city government and the commissions in the past and this commission have engineered a situation so that a bond has to be taken out because you don't have the money to do the repairs on the fire stations. Now, the problem that I've always challenged the firemen is that you take in and have, or excuse me, you've spent money, $250,000 to resurface the full blast pool, $2.6 million on the arena, and that was only one operation many years ago. There's more on top of that. $425,000 for brand new gas-powered golf carts out of the City Commission's treasury, out of the treasury of the public. And during this entire situation that's going on, you have extra money coming in from the casino. You have about $40,000 a year, or $1 million so far, from the cell towers that are on the city properties. You have other income streams that come in that could actually solve the problem by putting money aside for the fire department's situation so that you don't have to take out a loan. My biggest concern is that it doesn't cost $20 or $30 or $40 million. It may cost $20 or $30 million on top of that in just in interest. You've taken everything that is not important, that is not essential, that is not part of the essential services of Battle Creek, and may have made sure that those things are fully funded, and then wait over the last 20 years and say, oh my goodness, we'll put this off. We have this study. This needs to be done. It's getting worse. We're going to be put in a position where we need this situation, and we need the money now, only because you engineered it. If you had done this 20 years ago, or even before that, put a capital improvement plan in place, the money would be there, and I'd have nothing to really say up here because you would have been thoughtful and considerate of the taxpayers and citizens of Battle Creek. By engineering a future bond to do these repairs, basically you engineered the situation to sell out the people of Battle Creek at the expense of Battle Creek. That's poor business. We're not here to be put on the mortgage payment plans along with all your other loans and mortgages that you've already created and are in place. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments tonight? Seeing none, any commission? I'm sorry, the gentleman from Marshall.
Again, Barry Wayne Adams, 622 West Green Street, now known as the gentleman from Marshall. Speaking to it's almost impossible to speak to the depth of the level of corruption that has occurred in the overall systemic aspect of government operation. And it manifests in these symptomatic things of, trying to cut off public comment time to 3 minutes, in which you had absolutely no legal authority to do so whatsoever. Let me remind you, Article 1, Section 5 of the Michigan Constitution says, every person may freely speak, write, express, and publish his views on all subjects, being responsible for the abuse of such right. And no law shall be enacted to restrain or abridge the liberty of speech or of the press. The two words, no law, that means no exceptions. You can't use a provision of the Open Meetings Act and skew one of the ambiguous clauses in that statute to try to take away our right to speak. It's in the Constitution. You guys are supposed to know this. You took an oath to uphold it. You're not doing it. You stand up, make your little oath, hypocritical oath to your gold fringe flag.
Would you mind making your comments to me?
I am making my comments to you.
All right, but don't refer to any other commission comments.
I'm not referring to any other commissioner. I'm thinking.
I wanted to make sure
just
you were.
Just because I'm not looking at you doesn't mean I'm not talking to you.
All right,
do you understand?
I want to make sure.
Thank you. So, the fundamental hypocrisy of, they've left already, denying Glenn his FOIA based on a spurious terrorism rationale. Now, you guys should be reminded, back in Nazi Germany, whenever they did any of their oppressive measures, it was always backed up with the phrase, for your safety. You guys are doing the same thing here. What these guys are asking for is not such serious information that it can't be released to the people who are the taxpayers. And especially the level of hypocrisy when certainly CATL, Contemporary Amperex Technology Limited, the extension of the CCP, the Communist Chinese Party, is going to be given full access to all of this information. You guys need to realize that this is a slow turnover of America to the Chinese. We are in irreparable debt. There's no way that we can catch up with our national debt. The Chinese are the holders of our debt, the major holders of our debt, and we are in the process of slowly turning it over to them. You guys need to stop that.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is up. Are there any other public comments at this time? Seeing none, any commission comments tonight? Commissioner Morris and Commissioner O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I wanted to recognize my brother, Jermaine Morris. He was able to have his first annual daddy-daughter dance this past Saturday, and it was a really great event. There were around, I would say, 50 dads with their daughters, and it was a really great event. So congratulations to him for having a successful event, and I look forward to seeing that next year. And then in regards to the flag policy, I would like to ask City Attorney Steele if you could talk about how members of the public can approach the city commission and make us aware of the flag that they would like to fly and how that process works from that point.
Well, there isn't any kind of an application process. It may be that a commissioner hears about a flag, some type of a cause, at a commission meeting. They may read something about it in the paper. They may come across it by any number of means, but there is not an application process. If a commissioner, by whatever method, comes across some type of a flag, a cause that they believe they would like to see the flag flown, then the ordinance provides that that commissioner can fill out a request to have a resolution put on the agenda, and then there have to be 2 other commissioners that would co-sponsor it. And in that event, that's what our ordinance provides, then we put a resolution on for that, for the full commission to vote on.
Thank you, City Attorney. So I would just like to clarify that it was brought to my attention. I can say, based on my several previous years on the commission, that July is Pride Month in Battle Creek, and that our Pride community likes for us to fly the flag. So with that being brought to my attention, I used my channels as a commissioner to get support from other commissioners, and that's how this ended up on the agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner Morris. Commissioner O'Donnell?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank earlier for Reese for talking about the food pantry. It is very important in our times we're in now. If you need food assistance, please visit our neighborhood food pantries. I learned a lot from our visit that we had with you about a month ago, and thank you for inviting me out to make it. So if anybody needs information, just talk to Reese or one of your normal or local food pantries in the area. Also, Kellogg Community College does a food giveaway every month too, if you want to look that up. I also want to say 2 weeks ago, a city close to us was hit by a devastating tornado, and we need to keep them in our thoughts and prayers, and if able, to try to help them out and seek help. The cleanup's going quite well there, but they're still going to need some emotional and physical support. So I was there today. Lots of trees down. It's just devastating to have everything you worked for and then see it come through to be taken away. But they'll rebuild, and I would just like to say I help support the rebuilding of Portage. And one last thing is that, just earlier said, be nice to one another. That's the only way we're going to move forward. If we're going to start focusing on words and little simple things to hold us back, we're all about progression, and that's my thoughts on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commission comments? Commissioner Simmons.
So I brought this issue to the city leadership last year when the bridge was under construction at Capitol Avenue Southwest. The state of Michigan did a terrible job of maintaining the grass there. And now we have this big, beautiful new bridge. It says City of Battle Creek on the side of it. And the weeds, if it were a resident, the city would have probably already been out there and written a citation. If we can cite the state of Michigan, and if they don't if they don't go out there and mow these weeds, then we can do it and send them the bill. I'm so incredibly frustrated why the government does not hold itself to the same standards we hold all our citizens sometimes. I'm just really appalled. I drive by there on a daily basis, and the excuse last year was, state's not responsible, we've got a contractor working out of there, they're supposed to maintain it. Well, the contractor's vacated, so if we can see, please kindly ask the state to do.
We will certainly do some follow-up, Commissioner.
Any other commission comments? Commissioner Ballard, I see in your eyes.
Well, actually, Chris just brought it to my attention, so I'd like to say the same thing about businesses in Urbandale that have lawns that are 18 inches or higher at the corner of Michigan Avenue and Bedford. And yes, they use the same reason to say, oh, well, it's our corporate office and that's corporate, and they hire contractors. I'm sorry, the city needs to go there and talk to the business the same as you'd come out and talk to individual citizens about their lawns. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Seeing no more further city commission comments, I'll adjourn the meeting, and thank you very much for attending tonight, and thank you for the commission for attending too. This meeting.